Welcome to the Australian Deloitte Whistleblower View demonstration. Please keep in mind that this is a prototype environment with fictitious incidents and reports created by Deloitte users, so some information may be missing or appear incorrect. Today we'll be looking at a brief overview of the Halo features. The process will cover a whistleblower lodging an incident or suspicion online and how a client administrator can view and work these cases. We will be logging in as a whistleblower who has not previously visited the whistleblowing site. All employees will be given the URL to the company whistleblowing page. Prior to logging the disclosure, the whistleblower should gather all relevant information and evidence they can. Using the URL, the whistleblower will land on the About page here. The user can scroll through multiple tabs to get more information on Halo in the whistleblowing process. The white tabs are informational, whereas the gray tabs allow you to take a specific action. For example, if the user is confused about how the process works, he or she can navigate to the How It Works tab. Here, the user can find more information on the whistleblowing process, such as different disclosure security levels, and then how to follow their disclosure once it is lodged. We are now ready to lodge an incident or suspicion. By following the steps on this page, we will create our disclosure. First, we will pick a disclosure security or anonymity level. The first option is completely anonymous. By selecting this option, the reporter remains completely anonymous, meaning that Deloitte retains no personal or contact details. If this option is selected, there will be no way for Deloitte to reach out to this individual. All contact will be dependent on the whistleblower logging in to view their disclosure. The second option is confidential or restricted. This option means that the organization the user is reporting will not be able to see any personal or contact information. Deloitte will have access to these details to help the call center aid the disclosure process. The final option is confidential. This option allows the user details to be in the report given to the organization. Next, we will choose an incident type. If the user is unsure of the incident type, they can tick Other. Each incident type is linked to a customized set of questions. All of the questions follow a who, what, when, where, and how sequence, but some have additional questions pertaining to the incident type selected. For example, safety will have additional questions about OHS guidelines. After filling out the relevant information, the whistleblower can add any attachments that pertain to the disclosure. The attachment can be selected from the user's files and can be a Word document, photo, email, or anything under 25 megabytes. After a disclosure has been submitted, a Deloitte analyst will review it. The trained analyst will review fully anonymous disclosures for identifying details and will redact that information if necessary. Once the disclosure has been reviewed, the analyst will generate it into a report. The report will be made available to client staff according to your organization's previously set permissions. Now we will log in to a disclosure that was previously logged. Using these three gray tabs, we can take action with our disclosure. We can log a new one, check the status of a previous one, or add information to a previous disclosure. We are going to check the status of a previously lodged disclosure. We will be using an incident ID and password that was provided when we first submitted our disclosure. Here we can see the status of our case, add any additional information, and upload any additional attachments. We can also see the history of our case. Here we can see any feedback that was communicated to us by the organization. Once we have reviewed our case, we can then exit. Now we will switch views. We will be acting as a client administrator. When we log in, we will land on the portfolio view of cases. Here we can see a portfolio view of our cases. They are grouped by incident type. Scrolling down, we can see all available incident types on the left. The graph assigns each type a color, so a user can see a graphical interactive view of all the cases. For example, we had one case of bullying in June and one case in July. We can then scroll down and see the same information in our spreadsheet below. We had one case of bullying in June and one in July. If we would like to change our timeline, we can do so here and reset our parameters. If you would like to export this to Excel for easier distribution, you can do so here. Now we will click into our Cases tab. In the Cases tab, we can see an overview of the cases accessible to us as a user. We can see important information face up, such as a brief description of the case, the open date, the location, the channel in which the disclosure was lodged, the incident type, the anonymity level, when the feedback is due, and who the case is assigned to. The feedback due column works off a traffic light system. Green informs you that you are within the client set due date for when the feedback is due, whereas red indicates the feedback is past the due date. We can also easily sort our cases with the filters on the left. For example, clicking into anonymity type, I can click completely anonymous, and I will only be shown my completely anonymous cases. We can also further sort this information by clicking on our column headings. For example, here we can sort our cases from oldest to newest, or from newest to oldest. Now let's click into a specific case. As a client administrator, we can perform multiple actions. We can review the case by viewing the status and the summary. We can add case information, such as the whistleblower protection officer, the lead investigator, and the investigation team. We can add case updates. This is a previously submitted case update. These case updates can be viewed by Deloitte but cannot be viewed by the whistleblower. Next, we can add feedback we want communicated to the whistleblower. All feedback will be validated and communicated by Deloitte. Here we can see that this feedback was validated and communicated to the whistleblower. Next, we can view our outcome. As this case is open, it does not yet have an outcome. If a user was ready to close the case, they would do so by entering an outcome, deciding if the outcome substantiated the allegation, and then closing the case. This will conclude the Deloitte Halo demonstration. Thank you for listening.